What is going on? I want to thank you for coming to Vape with a Viking. So today I have a tube mech for you. It is the Keen tube mech by TenaciousTXVapes, or we like to call him Stan the Man, and TimesVape. And of course you'll know those two from the Dreamer and the Ardent. So definitely a company you should be pretty familiar with if you're into mechs and tubes and watch my stuff. So, because I do have the Ardent review coming up hopefully soon. So, it's ready to go. It's been tested. Just had to give a little push on some of these reviews this weekend. Got a couple requests saying, "Hey, you got these? Let's see them." So, tried to please everybody. So I kind of pushed some stuff up a little bit. But on the Keen is, of course, the Vapors Cloud Asgard 30 millimeter. And in it, we have Dark Star's Purple Slush. Now, Purple Slush. This is a weird one. If you've seen the reviews on this, I think almost everybody comes to this conclusion. They describe it as an incredibly unique assortment of delicious purple fruits and candy. So I do want to shout out Dark Star for sending me this juice and some of those. So I've been buying a lot of Dark Star. But Purple Slush. So you think it says purple fruits and candy, so everybody thinks grape, grape, grape. You do taste grape, but it's weird. I don't call it a grape vape. I call it a purple vape. Everybody's like, "What does it taste like?" And I'm like, "Purple." it's really hard to describe. It's really good. And Mike from Dark Star throws culotta and everything. He said, "Mate, throw some culotta in there." And I'm like, "I don't like it. I don't like culotta." I threw some in there. It helps it. It's really good, but it's really hard to describe. It's purple. So if you want a juice that's actually really good and intriguingly good, and you like grape, I would definitely say pick it up. But it tastes like purple. That's all I got for that. It's purple. So, but before we get into the ins and outs of the Keen, Vikings Advocacy Minute. So, as usual, like I tell you, and I'm going to tell you every single time, you don't have to be involved, but please, please be informed. Sign up to those advocacy groups and sites like Not Blowing Smoke and CASA. Sign up for alerts in your own area or the general, United States. South Australia is completely decimated. We're getting poked and prodded and pushed way down. I mean, honestly, New Zealand and UK is the places to be if you're a serious vapor. But it's one of those things that I tell everybody that you don't have to fight the fight, but knowledge is power. And just don't get this snuck up on you if we go the route of South Australia. Rather prefer to go the UK, New Zealand route, but it's hard to say where we're going. But if you literally wake up tomorrow and we can't vape, and you say, "Well, I didn't know," come on. Just be informed. Please be informed. So, that's enough of that. We'll get back into the Keen here. So, we'll dive down. I'll crack it open. We'll see the insides, the outsides, the threading, and specifically the switch. We'll take that thing apart just for general cleaning and just kind of show you how the switch works. Put it back all together. Come back up top, vape on it. I'll tell you where you can get it and my thoughts. Let's drop the hammer on the Keen. All right, so what I got for you today is the Keen Mechanical Tube Mod. So, and this is by, of course, TenaciousTXVapes and TimesVape. And again, with the Dreamer and the Ardent, kind of have that whole 80s arcade color vibe thing going on with it. So, packaging should look pretty familiar, or branding, I should say. So on this side, you're going to have official TimesVape and their social media stuff. It does take the most common battery configurations: 18650, 2700, and 21700. This side, you got TimesVape, engineered for vape, and then Stan's logo, Be Tenacious, battery configuration again, and designs by Stan, TenaciousTXVapes. And there's his website. And on the back side, you're going to have your specifications, your package contents,
and your warning, color configuration with your UPC, and the QR code for authenticity, and some more TimesVape stuff. All right. So before we run into this, I'm going to also give a shout out to Stan at TenaciousTXVapes. He, of course, wife had bought this for me for Father's Day, and she got in contact with Stan and made sure that it would get here on time. And then he was cool enough to work with her, and also throw in this really cool like vape pouch too. So I thought that was pretty cool of him. So really good dude. All right, so let's get into this tube here. Nice little cutouts on the side there, make that a whole lot easier to get in there. And this has been opened, so there's going to be some differences than what you get when you first open it up. You are going to have a TimesVape cloth, little cleaning cloth, which is actually a really nice cloth. It's not just like a really cheap microfiber. This is like a really thick, almost suede. It feels like suede. So really awesome. Now, when you get into yours, you will have the tube in a baggie itself, and then it'll have that webbing around it. I, of course, have tested this, used this, so and cleaned it as well. Clean your mechs, so it doesn't have any of that. You'll have the tube itself, and then you'll also have some beauty rings. I'll show you what those are for here in just a moment. You'll get your spare springs, a round spring and a flat spring. And then you'll get these gold-plated little ring contacts. And I'll show you what they are for in the switch itself. So, kind of give you some ideas. And also, before I forget, because I put it back in there, you have your 18650 adapter in there. And it is held in there with the O-ring, so no chance of it sliding around. So it does come out and it's kind of stiff. So when you go and open up your mech, you're gonna look down there and you'll see a contact, and you're gonna be like, why is there a battery in there? It's not. It's just the adapter. So what I was gonna show you here, one of the cool versatile things with this Keen is because it is a fairly good sized tube, how am I gonna use other addies on it? So the ring that's installed is for your 25 millimeter. So if you look at it with the Asgard Mini 25 millimeter, that's how it's going to look with the 25. So looks good, looks good. And this is with the 28 millimeter. And we'll throw on the Ardent to have a look at that. And that's how it's going to look with a 28 millimeter diameter atomizer on it. And this is the way that I'm currently rocking it with the flush 30 millimeter ring with the 30 millimeter Asgard. And this is how it looks like with that. So there you go. All you do is just unscrew those rings to match the closest you can to your atomizer. So pretty awesome looking there. So let's get into the switch of it though. And on top you'll have designed in USA, serial number, and designed by Stan. And at the bottom you'll have TimesVape, B Tenacious, and then the K for Keen. Now all the threading on here has been really super smooth. And then on the tube itself, you do have this kind of double curve wedge thing going on with the logo. Instead of being a straight kind of flare out, it's actually got an angle to it. So you have multiple ways you can hold it. Unlike the Dreamer where you could turn it upside down to change the pitch, on the Keen you cannot. But it will suit a lot of people's way of holding. And you can go to the top, you can go to the bottom, you can have it curved this way, or if you want, you could even have it kind of curved this way. Just depends on what's comfortable in your hand. So let's take a look at the switch here. It is a constant contact, so you do have your copper threading in there. And instead of being like a silver plated or copper or what almost look like brass for the contact, it's actually gold plating. So to get down into that of your constant here, you just take some tweezers, or some people use screwdriver or something, you can get that started. And then once you get it started, you can actually take it out by hand. And I'm not 100% positive, but I don't think the threading on this part is gold plated. It might be brass, but it could also be gold plated as well. But either way, very smooth, very easy to get going. And then you have your constant top here that has this like bowl effect. I'm gonna explain what that is. And oh, I just saw one of my fingernails. Sorry about that. Metal worker, can't always get that stuff out. So you'll have your round spring in there. That's for the top portion. And then you'll have your contact, which is gold plated. So what that does, instead of having two, we'll use this as an example. Let's say these were both solid and flat. Instead of having two flats coming together, which might not always come down exactly flat to match, when you go and fire this guy, you hit that switch, that pushes that ball and a bit of that flaring straight into there, so you'll actually get more contact on the switch. So in theory, should fire a whole lot faster and a whole lot harder. So, and we'll definitely test that out. Now, to get the switch portion out of it, or the contact out of it, you got these two little holes in there, and you could just take your tweezers and give it a little bit of a start, and then take and push the switch up, and you can undo the rest by hand. And there we go. Unthread it all the way there, and that allows the button to come out of there. And then you'll have your flat spring and the actual button itself. Now, the nice thing is this is interchangeable with the Dreamer's contact button too. So you could do some cool matching, or whatever, if you have a specific color, or if you just kind of like the way it feels better from the Dreamer, you can actually put it on the Keen. And inside the housing here, we can see that there. Josh, it looks like I got a little bit of cleaning to do in there. You do have those little almost like coiled O-rings. They are gold plated, and as far as I know, they're basically there to help conductivity. All right, so that's that whole switch there. So in order to get it all back together, just do it in reverse. So you'll take the switch portion or button portion, and you put your flat silver plated spring in there, and there are notches to get it back in there to line it up, just like that. See, notch into notch, and push that back in there. You'll put that in there and kind of start it off by hand. Well, you'll get it all the way done by hand. And once that's screwed down, I like to take the tweezers and just give it a little nudge there. Make sure it's in there secure. And then you'll put in your round silver plated spring here. And then put your constant back on. And then you'll see this is actually flared one way, so you can only put it in one way. Put that back over it. Get it started. Then once it gets far enough down, just take and tighten that back up. All right, all good there, all nice and solid. Then we'll put in a 30T, and I do positive up because the venting holes are at the top there. You could also do it at the bottom. That's what these extra indentions, if you can see, there we go. These extra holes would be. You could also, in case of a venting, it could come out through the bottom. And then put on your RDA. And there we go. We're good to go.
All right, we are back up with the Keen and of course the Asgard. So, first right out of the gate, prices. This is a little different. Most sites like MyVPro and stuff like that, they have a couple finishes available. Now, the Keen runs anywhere from $85 to $95, but its price is dependent on which finish. When they first originally came out, they had the copper, they had the brass, they had the straight stainless, and then they had a black stainless, which was a really super shiny black, almost gunmetal, but very dark, like black, not the grayish in gunmetal. So those I believe were 85. I think the black stainless was actually 90 or 95. So different prices on the different finishes. But a little later on, they also released a brushed stainless, which was really nice because it's not so fingerprinty. And then this is the newest rendition. They call it copper black, or what a lot of people call just matte black. This one was the one, I mean, the Keen, I was interested as soon as it came out anyway. But as soon as this came out, I'm like, okay, that is definitely on my list because a lot of RDAs I have are black. So it matches beautifully. So, and this one runs right at 95. But I've noticed the kind of, not really special editions, but the special options like the brushed stainless steel and the matte black, as far as I know, and I could be completely wrong, you have to order straight from Stan at Lucid RDA. And I want to give a huge shout out to Stan. He made sure Barbie had actually contacted them and said, "Hey, I want to get this for him, you know, Mad Viking for his for Father's Day. Just want to make sure I'm going to purchase it. I want to make sure it's going to get here on time. You know, I don't want it to be late." Stan actually reached out to her and made sure, okay, yeah, what's your order number, so on and so forth. I don't know the particulars of the conversation, but basically he made sure that it would be here before Father's Day, and even threw in a little vape pouch. It was a really cool little silver vape pouch to go in with it. So definitely huge shout out to Stan. Thank you so much for taking care of my wife with the Keen. So, but yeah, Stan's excellent dude, awesome dude. So, but a little more in there. So this is a 30 millimeter RDA, like I showed you in the dive down. It does have the different beauty rings, so that right there is a big pro for me. The fit and finish, again, is going to be subjective, depending on your RDA and so on and so forth. But with the available finishes and the beauty rings, you can match anything to this guy. And so fit and finish, definitely pro. Switch, nice, smooth, no crunchiness, no catching. It's great. And on top of it, like I said in Dive Down as well, the button, you can actually, the threaded portion of it, the actual button, you can change out with your Dreamer buttons too. So again, if you wanted to get super matchy, get the dark button, and you can completely murder this thing out. So really awesome. But yeah, the constant contact, the gold plating, I haven't noticed anything because some people are like, oh, you want silver plated or you want raw copper. Haven't noticed any voltage drop or lack of performance with the gold plating. Works beautifully. The Delrin liner, I mean, in that whole ball and cup contact, it works really well. These are some pretty serious coils in here. These are K coils, Gunger coils. They are a 6-core Alien, which I usually have on the Stormbreaker because it does require more power. It'll drain, you know, those coils will drain a battery fairly well. But what I'm noticing on the Keen, it's not draining as fast as any other single battery to Mech, and it's probably because that switch. It's, you know, all that power. It's quicker to ramp those things up, in my opinion. I don't know the science behind it, but I have noticed with testing the battery lasts longer in the Keen, and there's no suffering in performance. So a new home is for the Asgard. So you always see this on here or the Stormbreaker. So, but definitely huge pros. Really, the only con that I would have, well, there might be two. This one might be a subjective. I like the ergonomics on it. You can get down low if you want. You can come up high if you want. Depending on how you want the pitch, you can even pitch it so it feels even more different in your hand. But that also could be a subjective con to you. You might not like the waviness of it, but I personally dig it. So the only true con that I could see that would affect probably everybody, when I did get this and it was brand new, there was already oxidization. There was white and green stuff on the threading of the copper, on both the switch, the top, and even some black stuff. But the reason why I say that's a con is because when you do open up a brand new item, it's always one of those things that you want to open up and it's all shiny. It doesn't look like it's been touched. It's great. But there's actually kind of a pro to it, which you're going to be like, what? You basically got kind of a dirty mech? How the hell is that a pro? Because this brings up a huge point. I'm very OCD when it comes to mechs, even if it's brand new. And as you know, all the atomizers that I test and I buy, I throw them in the ultrasonic. So that's just the thing. I don't want machine oil. I don't want anything being vaped on that shouldn't be vaped on. But mechs specifically, I opened it all up because I wanted to check the threading. I wanted to check the liner if it had a liner, all that good stuff, because that's just safe. That's just good practice. So if you're into mechanical, unregulated devices, get in the habit. Open them up. Now, it took like 20, 30 minutes with some Brasso and some rags and stuff like that. Cleaned it up, and it was perfect. You saw it didn't dive down. Looks beautiful. Didn't affect anything. So, but just get in that habit. Open everything up, especially unregulated devices. Make sure it's all clean, ready to go before you throw a battery in, atomizer, and start vaping on it. It's kind of like I guess, Vikings safety minute. So, but and so I said it's a con because it was brand new. Shouldn't have had that stuff on there, but it is copper. It happens. But the pro, it's a teaching moment. Definitely check your mechs. Even after you've had them for a while, keep the stuff clean. Keep it clean. We don't want accidents, please. So, that's probably enough yammering about that. So, again, Asgard, 30 millimeter, Keen, Samsung 30T with some purple slush. Show you how it works. So, little bit of ramp up. That has nothing to do with the device or the battery. It's just those 6-core aliens. Tons of flavor. Just a little more ramp up time, even though they're NI80. So it's a lot of mass in there. But that is all I have today for the Keen Mech mod. I want to thank each and every one of you, yet again, for coming to Vape with a Viking. And I'll check you later.